Titanic, one of the greatest films in cinema history, but also the on-screen reflection of one of humanity's greatest tragedies. Released in 1997, this epic film, directed by James Cameron, presented viewers with an unforgettable love story. But behind those captivating scenes, how accurate was the portrayal? Today we are comparing the events of the Titanic film to the real historical events. April 15th, 1912. The Titanic sank into the dark waters of the North Atlantic after striking an iceberg on its maiden voyage. Over 2,200 passengers were aboard, and approximately 1,500 lost their lives. The film centered around this tragedy, and yes, this part was entirely true. But what about Jack and Rose? No, they weren't real. Jack Dawson and Rose DeWitt Bukater were fictional characters created for the script. However, Rose's character was inspired by some real-life passengers. So, it wasn't a true love story, but rather a cinematic symbol. Do you remember the orchestra scene? The brave musicians who continued playing their instruments as the ship sank? That part was real. Wallace Hartley and his bandmates played until the very end. All of them perished, but their courage was immortalized in the film. What about the ship splitting in two? James Cameron portrayed this scene in a striking way in the film. And yes, scientific research has proven that this event truly occurred. Deep-sea footage clearly shows that the wreckage broke into two parts. Now, what about the lifeboat issue? The Titanic only had enough lifeboats for 1,178 people. Despite having over 2,200 passengers, this led to hundreds of people freezing to death in the water. The film accurately reflected this desperation, and the famous debate: was there enough room on the door? The final scene with Jack and Rose has been discussed for years. Some argue that Jack could have fit on the door too. Even scientists tested this scene. Result: yes, maybe they both could have fit. But in that cold water, hypothermia would likely have killed both of them anyway. So, a dramatic but improbable escape. The Titanic film stayed true to the facts in many ways, but not every detail was real. Some were dramatized, and others were purely fictionalized. Still, this film was not just a love story. It brought the tragedy experienced by hundreds of real people to millions. That great ship still lies deep in the ocean today, silent, cold, and forever. Titanic, not just a film, the echo of a real history, and a lesson that should never be forgotten.